What if I told you that the same fitness data inside Strava, Garmin or your Apple Watch can power up your own SaaS application, one people actually pay for? Today I will show you how to connect Strava API, build a live fitness dashboard and turn it into foundation of a startup. And that could be premium analytics for athletes, dashboards for clubs and tools for coaches. Fitness data is gold, and today you will learn how to build with it. That will be quick and easy tutorial with focus on integration itself. For this demo I picked Next stack. For frontend I'm gonna use Next.js, and for the backend Node.js with Express. And we're gonna be focusing exactly on our server. It will handle auth with Strava, manage tokens and expose APIs. So basically it doesn't matter what you're gonna use on frontend. It can be Next.js app, it can be React, Angular, Vue app or even React Native. Let's dive straight to the code and first let me show you my demo frontend application. That's how dashboard will look like, a few widgets and chart which is gonna show the activity overview for the last 90 days. That's it, super simple. So let's go and check the code of this frontend application. Here is it. As I mentioned, for frontend I used Next.js, as well I use here Tailwind and ShadCN for components. Let's go to SRC folder, app, dashboard. Here is the main page of the dashboard, and also I have these components: auth button, dashboard stats, loading spinner and weekly activity chart. As you see, this components is imported from ShadCN. Also, I have some types defined for Strava, and in lib folder I have utils for Tailwind CSS, and the main thing is actually in that api.ts file. Basically here I defined all endpoints I need for my dashboard to run and get the data from Strava. Here we define API URL and we can get it from environment variable, and also I have fallback for that. After that we create our access client. Is pretty simple setup, and after that we have that main endpoints we need for our dashboard. The first one is going to be get auth URL. For that we will call auth root Strava. Then we will need get auth status logout, and the main one get dashboard stats. That's it. Now we need to create server which is supposed to respond for this request, and our server is gonna talk to Strava, get the data and send it back to our client application. For the server I created another folder and called it backend. Inside that backend I have SRC folder, and inside SRC we will have middleware, routes, services and types. Also we have index.ts, it's gonna be the entry point of the server. But first let me show you what kind of dependencies we're gonna need for that server. We need to install Axios, cookie parser, course.env, express and express session, and in dev dependencies we have some types, and also we have nodemon, tsnode and TypeScript. Let's go inside index.ts file. Here is the pretty basic setup. So the first thing we do is calling require.env config. That will help us to read our environment variables. Then we import in all necessary packages: express, course, cookie parser and session. So here we initiate express, then we define port, and here we using app.use and we provide our course options. Then we use express JSON just to parse incoming request. Then we have cookie parser. After that we have session, where we define how we gonna handle session. In that part we pass secret. I have some fallback here, but yeah, it has to be more secure. And the last part, we just call in app listen, and here I set some console log which says that server running on port, and it's gonna show the port we defined. That's it. So now we are ready to implement main logic. And let's start with implementing Strava service. For that, let's create another file, stravaservice.ts. In that Strava service, the first thing we need to define is Strava base URL, and it's going to be strava.com API v3. Then I created a class Strava service, and in that class, it's very important that we need to pass client ID, client secret, and redirect URI. Where to get this one, I will show you a bit later. And before we begin implementing methods, we need to create some Strava types. I have already prepared them. Here are the types. We're gonna use a Strava auth response type, Strava activity, Strava athlete stats, and dashboard stats. And we need to import these types here in Strava service.ts. And now let's go to the first method. It's going to be get auth URL. So here we are preparing parameters, and it's going to be client ID, redirect URI, response type we need to set code, scope we need to set read, activity and read all, and approval prompt force. So what all of this means? So client ID is self-explanatory. We need to pass our client ID. Redirect URI is the actually URI where Strava needs to send user back after successful authorization. Response type code, it means that we need back authorization code. That part is permissions, and that means that we always want to show consent. And then we pass these params here. So we call strava.com auth authorize, and then we pass that parameters we defined here. That will help us to get that auth URL for our application. Next method is going to be exchange code for token. And that thing we need to get the real tokens from Strava. So we need to provide that code which we got from authorization, and that's how it looks. So we call strava.com auth token, and we provide client ID, client secret, that code, and grant type is going to be authorization code. And in case if it goes wrong, we have some error handling. So I have console error here, and also I threw an error and I say that failed to exchange authorization code for token. And the next one is get athlete, and get athlete method need access token which we can receive from Strava, and then we gonna use it in our authorization header. And to get athlete information, we need to call that Strava base URL, and the root is going to be athlete, and we need to fire get request. After that, we have get athlete stats, and here we pass athlete ID and access token as well. So here we fire get request to Strava base URL. Here we need to specify athletes, then we need to pass athlete ID, and then we need to specify stats. The next one is gonna be get recent activities, and this one requires access token, and also it has pagination. So we're gonna set some limit, and it's gonna be 30. Then we fire again get request to Strava base URL athlete activities. And also you can notice that here we use params, and in that params we specify that pagination limit per page, and here we have defined that per page. And finally, the main one, get dashboard stats. This method groups all the data and prepares it to send to client application. As you see here, we're grouping data from two sources, get recent activities and get athlete stats. This one can be easily expanded, so we can get more data if we need. Then we have some data pre-processing and preparation. And finally, we return to our front-end application, total distance, total elevation, activity count, and weekly activities for the chart. That's it. So our Strava service is ready. Now what's left is to implement middleware and routes. For auth, we will just need that require auth method, and it's actually gonna check if authentication is required. In case if token was expired, and we check this here, we just send to the user that token expired and please re-authenticate. Now let's go to the auth routes, and for the auth we will need auth Strava, and here we're gonna use that get auth URL from Strava service, and we respond with auth URL. The next one is auth Strava callback, and actually this is the part where we call that exchange code for token. So we get that code, and then we pass that code to this exchange code for token, and then we get real tokens, and we see that here we have request session Strava auth, and we assign here access token, refresh token, athlete ID, and expires at. And finally, we redirect user to front-end URL. And the last two here, we have auth status, where we check authentication status of the user. And the last one is just logout. Now let's go to the Strava routes. So the first one here is athlete, where we get athlete information. Then we have get athlete stats, activities, and finally the main one, dashboard, which actually aggregates and prepare all the data for our front-end application. Also, we will need to update index.js file, and we need to add that routes here, auth routes and Strava routes. Our server is ready, but few things are missing. We need to get this client ID and client secret plus redirect URI. So let me show you how to do that. But for that, you will need to create Strava account. So to be able to get that information, you need to create a Strava account, and also you need to create an app in Strava. Then you need to go to settings of your account, and you can hit that My API application. And here you can find all information you need, client ID and client secret specifically. So we need to copy that and put in our environment variables in .env file. Now we are ready to spin our server and front-end application. For that, you can run command nodemon src index.js, or if you use WebStorm, you can press that button. Okay, we see the message that server running on port 5001. That's good. Then we go to front-end application and also run dev here. Perfect. So let's go to front-end application. Okay, we see that this app is running, a mini fitness tracker. Let's press connect with Strava. And now we go to that authorize screen, which actually comes from Strava. Once we press authorize, it's supposed to redirect us to our localhost frontend. Let's press that authorize. And authentication failed, and I know why, so we need to go back to our index.js file. And the reason is that we need to move this to here after the app use session. And it's supposed to work. Let's rerun both. Let's press again authorize. And we see that data is loading, and here is it. So we got our data from Strava. So we have that total distance 15 kilometers. We have total of 3 activities count, and we have that data in the chart. Also, we can inspect that network tab and see the request. Let's take a look at the dashboard. So we have that data here. So for the chart, we have this data aggregated here. So we have activity count, total distance, and total elevation. It is currently 0. And yeah, as I mentioned, data for the chart. Perfect. So everything works smoothly. So we just built a Strava-powered fitness dashboard. You've gone from raw data API to SaaS ready app. I hope this tutorial was helpful and you can build something out of it. I'm really curious about your ideas and thoughts on that. Please let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.